And I'll give the call to Member for Goldstein.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I seek leave to make a further contribution on this debate, as when it was first discussed many, many months ago, I made a partial contribution.
Is leave granted? Is leave granted?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Thank you. Member for Goldstein.
Thank you for the indulgence, Deputy Speaker, and to the opposition members. And I think it highlights how strongly we all, I would hope, feel on the importance of recycling as part of the health of our community. One of the core reasons that I'm a Liberal is because I believe so strongly in the ideals of stewardship, and that we inherit from one generation a healthy economy, a cohesive society, and of course an environment for which we all cherish, and that our responsibility as we have it is to carry it from one generation to the next and hand to the next generation not just what we had, but hopefully what is better, an even more prosperous economy, an even more cohesive society, and of course an environment that we cherish into the future. And of course, making sure we take that role of stewardship seriously is heavily dependent on what we do with our natural resources. Now, I know this is a point of contention with many members in this chamber, depending on the topic we're discussing. But where we can seek to repurpose waste to a constructive use is core to the efficient use of the world's resources and utterly consistent, the consequence of having a free market economic system. Societies that promote waste, intentionally or otherwise, are those that don't use price signals. They're ones that don't look at how to be efficient and competitive and productive. And that is something that we as a nation can excel at. That's why I welcome so many of the measures that have been made by the Prime Minister, but also by our outstanding Assistant Minister for the Environment, the member for Brisbane, who are doing a wonderful job focusing on how we make sure we take our waste and use it constructively to build the growth and opportunity in Australia. Because waste should never go to any other purpose than repurpose. Yes, there's a point about waste and it being our responsibility, and it's true. We have to take responsibility for ourselves. But we should want to repurpose scarce resources to an economically productive purpose. It helps us as a society and a community. It should lower costs. And of course, build a greater sense of confidence with the Australian people that we can solve many of the environmental challenges we face. Now, consistent with that, the government has introduced the Recycling and Waste Reduction Bill 2020, which will phase in the end of the 645,000 tonnes of unprocessed plastic, paper, glass and tyres that Australia ships overseas each year. And as a consequence, we're going to take responsibility for that waste in our country. It complements quite an expansive program of practical environmental measures by this government, where we implement programs that can materially improve the circumstances of waste issues in this country. We have a $1 billion transformation of Australia's waste and recycling capacity by helping build onshore demand for recycling content. And this will create more than 10,000 jobs and divert over 10 million tonnes of resources from landfill. It was not just a process of managing our waste and making sure it could be used for a different purpose. It's actually an economic opportunity to build jobs for the 21st century. And of course, in doing so, the Assistant Minister for the Environment, the member for Brisbane, has been leading discussions around how we promote regulation of product stewardship that will incentivise companies to take greater environmental responsibility for the products they manufacture at their end of life. And that's what this discussion is about, Deputy Speaker. Recycling, yes, is about waste and making sure we minimise it. But the real focus is making sure we put our efforts in responsibility for future generations. Thank you.
I thank the member.